the digital age, our bodies have acquired a new dimension. Modern children are born into a world where physical and virtual existence are inextricably linked. Their first photos appear on social media long before they themselves learn how to use a smartphone. Thus, the phenomenon of the digital body is formed, a digital twin existing in the parallel reality of screens and applications. This twin lives by its own laws, obeying social media algorithms and changing trends. It can be edited, improved, transformed beyond recognition. And what is especially important, it influences the perception of the real, physical body. Modern children begin to evaluate themselves through the prism of likes and comments, forming an idea of their own appearance based on the reactions of a digital audience. Their mirror becomes not the glass in the bathroom, but the smartphone screen with numerous filters. This is a fundamentally new socio-cultural phenomenon that requires deep reflection. Social networks have become a digital mirror in which modern children and teenagers daily examine not only themselves, but also construct their public image. Instagram, TikTok, and other visually oriented platforms have transformed into an arena for self-presentation, where appearance plays a key role in forming social capital. According to recent studies, the average teenager spends 4 to 6 hours daily on social media, accounting for almost a quarter of their waking hours. During these hours, a young person views hundreds and sometimes thousands of images, most of which have undergone digital processing. These idealized images subtly shape new bodily ideals, often unattainable in reality. Of particular concern is the fact that the age of first exposure to social networks is steadily decreasing. By the age of 8 or 9, many children already have accounts on several platforms, although officially most of them set an age limit of 13 years. At this tender age, when the perception of one's own body is just forming, children encounter a powerful stream of visual images that broadcast certain beauty standards. Social media algorithms amplify this effect, offering content that aligns with the user's presumed interests. This is how digital echo chambers are formed, where a child predominantly sees similar images, creating the illusion of universality of certain appearance standards. The world of digital technologies offers children endless possibilities to transform their appearance. With a swipe of a finger, one can change the shape of their face, make their skin flawless, their eyes bigger, and their waist thinner. Modern photo editing applications such as Facetune, Beauty Plus, and dozens of others have become an integral part of teenage culture. They allow for the creation of idealized versions of oneself, which often bear little resemblance to reality. AR filters on Instagram and TikTok have gone even further, offering instant, real-time transformations. A child sees not their true face on the screen, but an enhanced version of it, with perfect proportions, glowing skin, and expressive features. These technological tools create a dangerous disconnect between the real and digital body. Children become accustomed to seeing themselves through the prism of filters, and begin to perceive their true reflection as insufficiently attractive. Psychologists call this phenomenon Snapchat dysmorphia, a condition in which a person strives to look like their filtered version and experiences discomfort with their real appearance. Particularly alarming is the fact that many teenagers can no longer imagine posting a photo without prior editing. Studies show that over 70% of young people regularly edit their photos before posting them on social media. This creates a distorted perception of how their peers look, forming the illusion that perfect appearance is the norm, not the result of digital manipulation. Behind every like and repost on social media stands an invisible curator, an algorithm that determines what we see and what we overlook. These digital mechanisms don't just sort content, they shape our perception of the world, including our ideas of beauty and attractiveness. For children, whose self-esteem is still developing, this has enormous consequences. Social platform algorithms operate on the principle of reinforcing interest. The more a child views a certain type of appearance, the more similar content is offered to them. This gives rise to closed information bubbles where uniform beauty standards are broadcast. A girl who shows interest in weight loss content will soon find her feed filled with images of perfectly slender bodies. A boy who lingers on muscular bloggers will receive an endless stream of bodybuilding content. Recommendation systems do not distinguish between healthy and unhealthy interest. They simply maximize engagement. A particular danger lies in the fact that algorithms create the illusion of widespread adoption of certain standards. A child may genuinely believe that most of their peers look exactly like the filtered images they see in their feed. This distorts the understanding of normalcy and amplifies anxiety about one's own appearance. Research shows that children who spend more time in such algorithmic echo chambers are more likely to experience body dissatisfaction and strive for radical changes in appearance. Paradoxically, digital technologies designed to broaden our horizons often act in the opposite way when it comes to beauty, narrowing perceptions of acceptable appearance to a few trendy templates. In the digital age, the boundaries of identity blur, creating a unique phenomenon of multiple selves. A modern child exists simultaneously in several digital dimensions. They are one person on TikTok, another on Instagram, a third in messaging apps, and entirely different in real life. This fragmentation of personality becomes the norm for a generation raised with gadgets in their hands. Each platform demands its own style of self-presentation, its own language of communication, and its own visual codes. A teenager instinctively adapts to these demands, creating different versions of themselves for different digital spaces. But what happens to the integrity of self-perception with such a multiplicity of images? Psychologists note a paradoxical phenomenon. The more digital versions of themselves a child creates, the harder it becomes for them to answer the fundamental question: who am I really? The virtual and the real intertwine so closely that the line between them blurs. The child begins to perceive themselves through the prism of their created digital images, evaluating their real actions and appearance according to criteria applicable to digital content. This is especially evident in relation to appearance. Edited selfies become more real than their reflection in the mirror. The real body is perceived as a draft, requiring refinement to the level of a digital ideal. This inversion of reality transforms the child's self-perception, creating a disconnect between who they are and who they strive to appear to be in the digital space. In a world of flawless selfies and filtered realities, a new cult is emerging: the cult of digital perfectionism. Modern children face a paradoxical situation. Beauty standards, broadcast through screens, are technically achievable in the digital space, but physically impossible in reality. This creates a dangerous cognitive dissonance, especially during personality formation. Influencers and bloggers, whose perfectly retouched images garner millions of views, rarely admit to using filters and professional photo editing. For young viewers, the line between reality and digital illusion becomes almost indistinguishable. Research shows an alarming trend. 70% of children aged 10 to 17 believe they do not meet the beauty standards broadcast on social media. At the same time, most of them do not realize that they are comparing themselves not with real people, but with their digital, enhanced versions. This endless marathon for unattainable perfection has serious psychological consequences. Clinical psychologists note an increase in anxiety and depressive states among children and adolescents, associated with a negative perception of their own appearance. Paradoxically, the more technical opportunities children get for digital self-improvement, the stronger their dissatisfaction with their real bodies. This is a vicious cycle where each new edited photograph widens the gap between the digital ideal and physical reality. Children going through puberty are particularly vulnerable, as natural body changes often conflict with the smooth, flawless images from social media feeds. Digital perfectionism is becoming a new form of social pressure, shaping a generation for whom their own body is a constant source of disappointment and anxiety. Alarming statistics from recent years show the digital environment is becoming a catalyst for serious psychological problems related to body perception. Dysmorphophobia, a pathological obsession with imagined flaws in appearance, is taking on new forms in the age of social media. Specialists have even identified a special type of this disorder, selfie dysmorphia, where teenagers are obsessed with the discrepancy between their real appearance and filtered selfies. From obsessive thoughts about imaginary flaws, it's just one step to eating disorders. Studies by King's College London show teenagers who spend more than 3 hours daily on visually oriented social media are 60% more likely to develop anorexia or bulimia. Children aged 11 to 14 are especially vulnerable when body image is forming and critical thinking is not yet sufficiently developed. Hashtags like #thinspiration or #bodygoals lead to entire communities where extreme weight loss is romanticized and presented as a path to popularity. Algorithms exacerbate the problem by offering more and more similar content to an interested child. Medical centers worldwide are recording an alarming trend. Over the past 5 years, the number of referrals for eating disorders among children under 13 has increased by 80%. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Most cases remain undiagnosed until serious physiological complications develop. The virtual space, conceived as a territory of freedom and self-expression, for many children turns into an arena of bullying. Digital bullying, aimed at appearance, has become one of the most destructive phenomena in the lives of modern teenagers. The anonymity of the network unties the hands of aggressors, allowing them to attack victims with the cruelest comments about their body and appearance with impunity. Offensive memes, photoshopped images, humiliating comments under photos, all these are forms of body shaming that inflict deep psychological trauma on a developing personality. Unlike traditional school bullying, digital bullying does not end with the last bell. It pursues the child 24 hours a day, penetrating through the smartphone screen into the most protected spaces. The mass nature of such bullying poses a particular danger. A negative comment can instantly gather dozens of supportive reactions, creating a feeling of total rejection in the victim. Studies show that children whose appearance deviates from dominant beauty standards, with excess weight, distinctive facial features, adolescent skin problems, are most vulnerable. Children during puberty, when natural body changes become a reason for ridicule, are also at risk. The psychological consequences of such bullying can be catastrophic, from social isolation and academic underperformance to clinical depression and suicidal thoughts. In a world where every other teenager spends up to 6 hours online daily, the ability to critically evaluate visual content becomes a vital skill. Media literacy is not just a trendy buzzword, but a real tool for protecting children's psychological well-being. This competency helps young users distinguish between reality and digital illusion. When a child understands the mechanisms behind creating perfect images, the power these images hold over their self-esteem significantly diminishes. Teaching media literacy begins with a simple debunking, showing children how those flawless photos that fill their feeds are created. An effective exercise is analyzing popular celebrity photos in a before and after editing format. By seeing real pictures of their idols, children grasp the extent of digital manipulation and stop perceiving retouched images as the norm. Another useful practice is Photoshop hunting, a game-like activity where children learn to spot signs of editing: unnaturally smooth skin, distorted body proportions, strange background distortions. Gradually, these skills transform into an automatic filter of perception. It is also important to teach children to recognize emotional triggers in visual content, techniques that evoke feelings of inadequacy and a desire to conform to unattainable standards. When a child can say, "This advertisement wants me to feel not good enough, so I buy the product," they are already protected from manipulation. Family and school play a crucial role in shaping children's healthy relationship with their bodies in the digital age. Parents and educators are the first line of defense against the toxic influence of distorted beauty standards. Their task is not just to limit screen time on social media, but to create a space for open dialogue about digital reality. When an adult calmly discusses edited celebrity photos with a child or explains how filters work, they provide an invaluable tool for critical thinking. Studies show that children whose parents regularly discuss media literacy with them are 40% less susceptible to the negative impact of social media on self-esteem. Personal example is especially important. When a mother criticizes her body in front of the mirror or constantly diets, she unconsciously transmits a model of self-rejection to her child. In the educational environment, integrated programs supporting a positive body image become effective. Lessons where children analyze advertisements and learn to recognize image manipulation build resilience to digital distortions of reality. School projects focusing on the value of the body as a tool for action and achievement, rather than an object for evaluation, help shift the focus from appearance to functionality and health. In a world where ideal appearance seems to be a prerequisite for success, alternative movements are emerging that offer a different perspective on the body. Body positivity and body neutrality are not just fashionable trends, but entire philosophies that redefine a person's relationship with their own physicality. Body positivity, a movement that originated as a protest against narrow beauty standards, proclaims a radical idea. All bodies are worthy of love and acceptance regardless of their shape, size, or features. Body neutrality goes even further, suggesting freeing oneself from constant body evaluation in terms of beauty and focusing on its functionality and capabilities. For children and teenagers, whose self-esteem is formed under digital pressure, these approaches become a lifeline. When a child learns to perceive their body neutrally or positively, they gain powerful protection from the toxic standards of social media. Studies show that teenagers familiar with the principles of these movements are a third less likely to develop a negative attitude towards their body. Inclusive projects that show the diversity of bodies in a positive light become especially valuable. When children see that people of different appearances can be successful, happy, and accepted, their understanding of what is normal expands. This experience becomes a counterweight to the monotonous, filtered images from social media. We stand on the threshold of a new era, where the digital and physical merge into a single experience. The future of corporeality lies not in rejecting technology, but in its thoughtful integration into a healthy self-perception. Paradoxically, the very tools that today distort children's perception of their own bodies can become powerful allies in forming stable self-esteem. Innovative applications are emerging that help children develop a conscious attitude towards their bodies through game mechanics and interactive stories. They teach to value the body for its capabilities, not its appearance. Virtual reality is used for therapeutic sessions where children learn to accept their reflection and recognize distorted perceptions. Artificial intelligence, by analyzing a child's online behavior, can identify early signs of eating disorders and offer parents support strategies. The formation of a healthy bodily identity in the digital age requires an ecosystem approach, where family, school, technology companies, and legislators act in concert. The key task is to create a digital environment that does not oppose the virtual and the physical, but helps children integrate these dimensions into a holistic experience. Technology should expand the body's capabilities, not limit it with standards. Only then will we be able to raise a generation for whom the digital world becomes a space of freedom and creativity rather than a source of anxiety about imperfection.